Thank you, Ciarán. Leader, I would like to call for a debate in this chamber with the Minister for Justice on protecting the rights of conscientious objectors within both the public and private sector. Increasingly, we are seeing people being forced to embrace values that they don't agree with. The new policy titled Gender Identity in the Workplace is a mandatory for all members of An Garda Síochána. It states that refusing to acknowledge a person's gender pronouns or new name will constitute discrimination under the Employment Equality Act 1998 and the Equality Act Status 2000. While it is important we treat everyone with dignity and respect in the workplace, I must ask, how are the rights of the staff with religious viewpoints that clash with transgender views being reconciled here? People of different religious and ideological viewpoints have expressed concern about aspects of this policy to journalists. This is something we need to consider. Another concerning fact about the document is that it conflates gender with biological sex. One can argue that gender is socially constructed, but the perspective expressed in this document states that sex and gender are equivalent, is in opposition to what most transgender activists believe. It is a very fringe view. Trans people would not be seeking sex change operation if sex was not real. Nor would they request hormones or puberty blockers if this wasn't the case. It is a biological fact that humans are a sexually dimorphic species. On a side note, who is influencing policy and legislation in this area? But that is obviously a question for another order of business. In Ireland, conscientious objection has often been associated with medical practitioners wanting to opt out of performing abortions or providing contraceptions. But having an internally consistent view on this issue is irrelevant for people of all political views, religion or no religion to consider. In decades to come, many viewpoints today that are part of the consensus today will be considered unusual and immoral. This is the problem with culturally relative viewpoints. In recent years, there have been a much greater intolerance for dissenting viewpoints, and the desire of censorship has become far too common. On that part, for some politicians and activists, there has been an a la carte approach. One sec, I'm nearly finished, Ciarán, and if you give me 1 minute, less than a few minutes.
You're already half a minute over time.
I would conclude by saying that I think it would be great if the Minister for Justice was prepared to show that they care about protecting the rights of dissidents. I hope we can discuss this issue in more depth in this chamber. Thank you. And thank you, Chair, for your...
Senator Keogan is looking for a debate. I'm not sure it might be with the Minister for Justice, but I'll check for you, Sharon, around the upholding of conscientious objections in all of our employment legislation and other health acts. But I'll come back to you. But wherever it's the relevant minister, we'll make sure that we organise it and make the request. Malcolm.